Hello, welcome to Epic Flail. In this video, we're going to be talking about whether Warhammer 40,000 has slowly morphed into some kind of board game, and at the end of the video, we're going to discuss whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. We're going to talk about all the different traits of what makes a board game and compare it to Warhammer 40,000. I've watched plenty of games now, and there's just some weird things that happen in Warhammer 40,000 that don't happen in other games or other competitive games. So we're going to get into the detail of why that might be the case, and what relationship that has to do with the possibility that Warhammer 40,000 is turning into a board game. While I've got your attention, please like and subscribe. Well, hopefully I keep your attention through the whole video, but if I've got it now, please like and subscribe. It helps us loads. And if you want to support the channel, consider being a member. It's only $2.99 a month. The link to do so is in the description below. There's like 50 extra members videos. You get access to our Discord. We've got a team now where we like meet around the country, play games, go to tournaments together. It's only £2.99. We're keeping it nice, high value, low cost. So go check it out. Details to do so are in the description below. It's just me today. Normally it's myself and Liam, but obviously it's a bank holiday. We've got family visiting. There's all sorts going on. So we'll be back to normal next Monday at 7:30. So tune into that for some usual Meta Monday madness. We are even thinking about revisiting our infamous player archetypes, which caused quite a bit of controversy, so we're thinking revisiting that. So next Monday will definitely be one to put in the diary and tune in live, but today I'm doing a pre-record just so I can make sure I get some content out to you good people. We are streaming UKTC Coventry next month, the month after. I can't do LGT because it's my birthday and I'm away, but I am doing Coventry in October. So if you enjoyed our UKTC streams, make sure you like and subscribe because they'll be coming up just down the road. Wicked. I really like this intro. Do you think it's satisfying, guys? Just this little drum bit at the end. Anyway, right, come on, let's get into it. I'm going to time it so perfectly. I'm going to time this so nice, look. Let's get into the main subject of today. And let me know what you think. Okay, so let's get into it. Why do people think that Warhammer 40,000 is kind of evolving into some kind of board game, or has got a lot of traits that kind of are making it more of a board game and less of a tabletop miniatures strategy game? I think a good example of what a modern board game looks like is Star Wars Rebellion. So Star Wars Rebellion has several different mechanics that you're kind of juggling and managing in the game, doesn't it? It kind of has like a resource management element to the game. There's a movement and positioning element. There's a combat element with some dice rolling. There's a card drawing mechanic. You can play cards and kind of have effects on the game that change things. There's all these kind of different bits. There's like objective-based play. There's movement and positioning, there's combat, there's resource management. That's kind of a good example of a modern board game, and you see that in, we could spend ages just going through different board games and going, oh yeah, it's got this element, this element, this element. So that's kind of what we're looking for. There's something that got me thinking about this from watching so many games of Warhammer 40,000 now. What keeps happening is people are very relaxed about positioning and measure. It's not a very accurate game. People are kind of like, oh yeah, that looks about right. Or, oh, if you want that to be hidden, that can be hidden. People are very relaxed about it. I kept thinking, why is this game kind of sloppy? Like, why are people not that accurate with measurements and kind of fine with takebacks and all these other things going on? And I saw at UKTC, Jack, who won the event, is an amazing player. Like, he is so good. Like, he could just see everything. The guy's amazing. He was playing a good faction, but alongside playing a good faction, boy, did this guy know what he was doing. He's a great player. I'm sure he could pick up any faction and do excellent with them. And Jack was deserving of his win, but also like very relaxed. He would actively remind people of things. There was no gotchas with Jack. He'd be like, well, just remember I can do this, and I can see that you're going to put that there, but do be aware that this immolator can go this far and shoot that. He was so open. And I was thinking, man, that is kind of unusual. A lot of competitive games, chess, for example, they won't be like, oh, don't put your king there, mate. That's a terrible decision. Chess tournament, they'd be like, amazing. I can't believe we just done that. I'm going to blow it up. Thinking, why, with Warhammer 40,000, do these kind of take-backs seem to be quite common and relaxed? And why do the good players actively help other people avoid gotchas? And that's actually, maybe part of that reason is that Warhammer 40,000, those particular movements and measurements and situations, they're just one part of the kind of bigger game that people are playing. And sometimes the game has kind of already won in the deployment and the players know it. The players kind of know quite early on how good the matchup is and what's going to happen. The other semi-final game I spoke to the chaps from that, and they kind of knew exactly how the game was going to go based on who got first turn and the deployment. It was like, yeah, well, this is going to be this is how it's going to go. So those kind of like, yeah, don't forget I've got this, and yeah, don't forget I've got that. It didn't really matter that much because they kind of knew what was going to happen based on all these little mini games that they were playing. They were like, that's not that big a deal because actually I know that I'm going to win by doing this other thing. And that's kind of what got me thinking about Warhammer 40,000 as a bit of a board game, because if we're just to kind of break down what those players are doing to win those games, I'm just going to think about like Jack and some of those, Grundy, some of those players that I saw on stream were brilliant players. They basically were playing you could probably split it into five mini games. Yeah, they were probably playing 5 mini games. The first mini game, which is very similar to a board game, was the screening mini game. So they were basically, first thing to do is make sure that they've screened out their opponent. And that feels like such a huge part of Warhammer 40,000. I'm going to place my models spread out enough on this side of the board to stop you bringing things in from rapid ingress or deep strike. And this has always been in Warhammer 40,000. It's a great mechanic. Being able to deep strike and rapid ingress and bring things in is a cool mechanic. It's fun, it's thematic, it gives you something to think about, and it represents the dynamic, futuristic battlefield of things just teleporting and appearing. It's a really cool thing to have. But when everything can do it, basically, when it's every faction has got something that's doing this, it's absolutely everywhere. It's not like the Warhammer 40,000 of old where it's like a teleporting Terminator unit. It's so much stuff. Whole factions do it, right? Grey Knights do it constantly, but other factions do it all the time as well. So there's this kind of like mini game of, I'm going to spread all my models out to cover as much of the board and to actively and show you how I'm stopping you bringing units in certain parts of the board. That's a huge mini game that's taking place on Warhammer 40,000. It's not how can I shoot and kill my enemy, how can I move tactically and kind of create like interesting tactical maneuvers and positionings, and how can I best use this unit. It's kind of like, no, I just need to spread all my stuff out as broad as possible and pre-measure it to show that you can't bring any models down. That's the first big mini game that exists in Warhammer 40,000, and it's very, very unique to Warhammer 40,000. You ain't doing that in Old World. You're not doing that in AOS. You're not doing that in the game that shan't be named, begins with W, ends in Sheen. It's just not a thing. This whole like, I'm going to spread all my models out absolutely everywhere, stop you coming in, is pretty unique to Warhammer 40,000. And I actually think it's a bit crap. I think it's a bit of a crap mechanic and I don't like that. It doesn't feel very tactical. It just feels like I'm spreading models out and measuring things to the corners of boards. I mean, that is not great fun. It doesn't feel very dynamic. It's just I'm gonna spread my models out. Yeah, it's not great. The second mini game is the staging mini game. So these two are quite closely linked, and it's where I've seen players put things in terrain, which you basically can't die from because the terrain rules in 40k are absolutely mad. So like, I can put this unit here, nothing can shoot it, nothing can even charge it because I'm going to put it an inch away from the wall. So it's like, I'm literally going to make this unit invincible to anything other than indirect fire, and then I'm going to put something on this objective in the open to score me points, and then when you've killed that, I'm going to move this unit into it. So they're kind of just staging things up to go on objectives. And there's an element of tactics in that, right? Any good battlefield general or any good strategist, if you know what I mean. They would not just be like, let's put all our best units out in the open first and let them die. They would obviously peace trade, like any good general would peace trade models, put the crap stuff up the front. Even the Roman Legion would do this, wouldn't they? The Roman Legion would put the youngest, most fired up recruits in the front rank who were like needed to get blooded, with the veterans in the second rank, and they would let those young, blooded, fired up warriors have the first go and then whistle and then drop them back a rank and move. Sorry, that was really irrelevant. Like most white men, I get excited by Roman history. Then the veterans would go forward on a whistle. No? Okay. So it's a bit like that. That kind of like peace trading element is another mini game that exists in Warhammer 40,000. I've got to screen everything out, and then I've got to make sure that I've put my units in the right line so that I can stage through onto the objectives and kick you off the objective. Minigame number 2. Minigame number 3 is the missions that are taking place, and then the endless drawing of new missions to then do. So you've got the mission that you've got to do on the table, take and hold or whatever, priority, whatever. You've got the mission. That then comes with a random rule that also adds an extra element to the mission itself. And then you've got to draw new mission cards, 2 of them every single turn. I mean, if that isn't a board game mechanic, I don't know what. That is a board game mechanic. Every turn, something new happens. Every turn, you draw a card, and you've got to do this card now, and new things to keep you entertained and engaged, to keep it dynamic. But all this does is it just emphasises that Warhammer 40,000 is moving away from a tabletop strategy game where in the grim darkness of the far future there is only war, do some war and kill your opponent, into in the grim darkness of the far future there is only missions and more missions and changing missions and mission rules. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is lots of missions and lots of bureaucracy and lots of things to remember. So this for me is a big one. This is the biggest mini game that exists in Warhammer 40,000. Endlessly drawing new mission cards and then trying to have to do them. But really, they're just more of the same. So you know, most of the mission cards are, you've got to pick a unit up and put it in this place, and then it stays there for a turn or scores some points just for being there. So it's back to this like movement position, pick stuff up, move them around. That's got to go there. That's got to go there. It's kind of like where do I need to spread my models out and put them on the table to then score the points that this card wants me to get, rather than how do I smash my opponent in and blow them up? Like, how do we have like cool thematic things happening and there's like fighting in the middle of the battlefield? A bit like Old World. Old World is crazy thematic because it's like heroes smash into each other and fight for 2 turns. Characters jump out of units and start dueling. You know, rock lobbers, lob stuff. It's very thematic, and like the battle. When you play Old World, you're definitely having a battle. You're like, man, stuff is dying. Things are slamming into the flanks. Other things. Warhammer 40,000 is like hide and seek. It's like, oh, this unit's going to hide. Oh, no, it's going to pop up. Whoa, surprise, it's over here. This unit's going to vanish and pop up over there. And this unit's going to jump out of this thing and run over there. It's kind of like hide and seek, but, you know, and like positioning, throwing things around in an inaccurate way versus anything that feels that thematic at a competitive mission play level anyway. So this bit for me is the biggest flag for, hello, this is becoming a board game. The endless drawing of new cards definitely feels like that. There is, without a doubt, the mechanic of killing things and getting in combat and shooting and fighting, like any board game. There's always a killy element to the game, and this is obviously where the weight of the Warhammer 40,000 rules lean, right? Like, your stuff shoots, your stuff kills things, your stuff charges, and I'm not saying that like the game is all about mission. You still attack and kill things and roll dice. That's why we play the game. We like rolling dice. It gives us a little rush. It's exciting when we roll dice. So that still exists in the game, and there is the mini game of how do I kill that unit? How do I position this unit to charge and shoot that unit? So the screening mini game, staging and piece trading mini game, missions and mobility mini game, killing things and actually doing, you know, attacking things mini game. And then the last one is like a resource management game. So it's get CP, I use those CP to then do stratagems, and those stratagems can also be done for free with certain abilities. So it's kind of like it's like a resource management element. You know, there's, and same with the rerolls as well. Like, how do I best utilize and use these CP to help me do the other things? And they kind of feed into the main mini game, which is the missions, right? The CPs are kind of used to make sure that you score those mission points. People like re-rolling CPs just to like, oh, I really wanted to kill that one model because I think it'd be fun. People are rolling CPs because like, I need to pass that armor save because that thing needs to stay alive to stop you scoring on the objective. So I think they're kind of fun. I think Warhammer 40,000 has become 5 mini games that you constantly have to play and think about to be good at the game. And players like Jack and Grundy that I saw at the weekend, they were brilliant, amazing, really, really smart guys, really good at the game, know their armies, they were great, they were fun to watch. They made Warhammer 40,000 fun game to watch. But they were basically playing those 5 games in their head. I personally really enjoy Warhammer 40,000. I think it's a great game. It's really fun to play. I think it can definitely be played competitively. It can definitely be played casually. But personally, the multiple extra changing thing, like the constant missions all the time, and like extra mission rules, all that stuff, I think detracts from it being a better competitive game. I think if you want to play casually, then extra things happening and all these other dynamics can be a bit of fun. But if you want to make like a competitive game, I think they've kind of done the thing that they said they weren't going to do, which is rules bloat and make it really complicated. Like, there just is a lot to think about and a lot to remember. when the best players in the world are forgetting to draw the cards and do things, that's a sign that the game, there's probably too much going on, because those guys are really good at the game. And to be good at Warhammer 40,000, you can't be forgetful and lazy. They're smart people. It's not an accident. It's not a fluke. And for even at the top level, people to be like, oh, I forgot to draw my cards, or oh, I forgot this, or oh, I forgot you could do that, oh, there is this. That's probably a sign that there's a little bit too much going on and the game's gone a little bit too broad. I mean, we look at the meta stats and we see that, like, when a new book comes out, it often comes out a little bit hot and a little bit spicy, and will typically spike and do quite well at events. And sometimes that's due to people just being unfamiliar with it, or people having a combo or a list that people didn't see coming. But the bits, like if you think about like Sisters of Battle are really good because they're able to play all these mini games really, really well. Like they're basically the best. Like if you want to build a good list or a good army in Warhammer 40,000, you've got to think about all these mini games. So Sisters of Battle are great because they're amazing at screening, because there's loads of them. They're really fast, so they can screen and spread out quite quickly. They have lots of units that they can put into Deep Strike and Rapid Ingress because they're a broad army, they're a wide army. That, you know, they can do the screening game and the staging game really, really well. Resource management. Can you think of a better faction than Sisters? They have a janky dice cheating, miracle dice mechanic, so they can be insanely efficient with resources. They can make sure things happen. Because there's so many of them, they're a wide army, they can do the missions really well. They can score lots of points. So, like, these factions and armies that are performing well, they perform well because they're good at all the different mini-games. The armies that do badly fall short on some of these mini-games and have big, glaring weaknesses and holes. So if we're to ask the question, if Warhammer 40,000 is becoming more like a board game, is this a good thing? I would lean towards no. I would say it's probably not a good thing. If you're trying to create a fun, casual, lots of stuff happens, it's just a laugh, no one really cares who wins, you're just rolling dice, it's good fun. Yeah, a bit more board game is fine, because people like the random elements, they like different mechanics, they like lots going on. But if your mission is to create a balanced game, or your mission is to play it as a balanced game, then this isn't a good thing. Because you're just adding more things that the rules designers have to then think about to build something that you're going to enjoy playing. If you're writing an army book, it's not easy thinking about all these different games. Like historically, you think about Old World or another game, it's easy to write rules because you're like, well, this is how you win. So if this is how you win, and that's quite a narrow, set of rules, or that's a narrow thing, it's easy to build something around that that's good and balanced and competitive. If we're like, well, how do you win? Well, actually, there's a lot going on here. Do you know what I mean? There are multiple things to think about to win this. There's all these mini games. You've got to win all these mini games. Then that's a designer's nightmare. Like, it's no surprise some books come out and we're like, Jesus, who's wrote this? And others come up and we're like, this is crap. What's that? It's absolutely naff. There's multiple books that have come out just a bit of a wet, damp squid, whatever the phrase is, rubbish. They've come out a bit rubbish. So I think if you're after a balanced game, a competitive game, if you're after balanced rules and well-designed rules, then you don't want to see 140,000 becoming more like a board game. You want to see the opposite. You want to see some of that stuff rolled back. Like, stop trying to overcomplicate it. This can be a really fun game, just in the grim darkness of the far future. There is only war. More war, less bureaucracy and mission. This is what they were scared of. This is why there was a heresy, guys. I'm learning about the heresy. They were scared of bureaucracy. Warhammer 40,000 has become so bureaucratic. It probably wouldn't hurt to dial that in my opinion. And also the screening thing. There's just too much screening. Just, come on. Not everything should be appearing absolutely everywhere. It's a cool mechanic. Just let Grey Knights have it. Everyone else can go in the bin. You with me? Okay, you're not with me. I appreciate you watching, and I'd love to know your thoughts on this, whether you agree. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching the show. We're going to be back on Monday for Meta Monday with Liam and I. I'll probably try and squeeze a show out on Thursday. I've still got family visiting for the rest of this week, but we'll see what we can do. I'm always here to entertain and create content, so I'll do my best to get something out. Thanks for watching, folks. I've enjoyed this ramble. Have a good bank holiday, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.